Hello, students of history. So today we're going to be examining this is the core assignment in all of the 100 level classes I teach, and that is the primary source essay. And in this brief video here, we're going to be looking at sort of what my expectations are and how to write and formulate this essay, as well as a thesis statement and what is expected from this assignment. So I will look forward to you to going over this with you. Thanks. Okay, gang, so this is how I envision your primary source essay going. So this primary source essay is designed to get you to read a host of primary sources and select several. I ask that you use at least two in constructing this essay. So two separate documents only from the readings that I have assigned to you this semester. And you need to be specific in these readings in that they need to be primary sources. And a primary source is anything that is coming out of the time period. So something that is written about the American Revolution that was written during the time of the American Revolution or shortly thereafter would be a primary source about the American Revolution. A book on the American Revolution that was written 100 years after the American Revolution, for instance, is a secondary source. That is not a primary source. So this assignment, this primary source essay is designed to get you to read a lot of primary sources and then to select specific primary sources that you want to use to make an argument. Now, in the syllabus, in any of my classes I teach, I'm going to give you a question. So you already know what your research question is. So you're going to answer that question by using your primary sources as evidence. You want to prove to me that your argument is right. And we're going to come to the all-important argument in a moment. But you must use at least two primary sources. You can use more primary sources than that if you want. But they need to be specific. You need to reference them. You need to cite them. And using quotes would help you. So anything from the time period that you are studying. So if you're studying ancient Egypt, then they need to be actually written or come from the time of ancient Egypt or the American Revolution or whatever time that this essay is designed to for you to investigate. Then your secondary source here is going to be whatever course textbook that I have assigned to you. So, for instance, in my American history class, this is going to be Jack Green's book on the constitutional origins of the American Revolution. If this is going to be about my ancient Rome class, this will be The Storm Before the Storm, Mike Duncan's book. So either of these books are not written in the time of the American Revolution or during the Roman Revolution, but rather that they are authors, historians who are writing about these events many, many years after it's happened. But they're experts in this field, and therefore you want to use this secondary source. You need to cite this secondary source as supporting expert testimony to back up your argument. So you are going to be the primary arguer. You're not going to tell me what Jack Green's book is about. You're not going to tell me what Mike Duncan's book is about. But rather, you're going to use these texts to support your argument that is coming from your primary sources that you have selected or I have selected for you. But again, you can only use the primary sources that I have given you. Do not find anything else outside of that. Only use what is assigned for this class in the primary and secondary literature. So, as we talk about this kind of literature, the reason that I'm not allowing you to go outside of the documents that I have is that you are very young pupils. You are not well versed in what is a good and strong primary source or what is a scholarly secondary source. And moreover, I've taken all the legwork out of it for you. So you've already got your sources. You can just read them, and then you can begin making your arguments here. The key here is that we want you to be using good scholarly material. That these books that we are assigning in our classes they are written by professional academics who are experts in this field. This isn't just something that is on the internet, that someone is just sitting at their desk and decides they want to write something about the American Revolution, so they just spit it out, right? That these are things that have been reviewed over and over again by a group of scholars and other experts in the field, so that you know that you are getting a quality and accurate historical source here. So that is why you can only use the things that I have assigned, and it's much easier for you in a way, because then you know exactly what you can what you have to work with for the class. So how do you put this paper together? Well, you're going to first of all have to decide on what primary sources you are going to use in your essay. So this means you must actually review them or read them. And then after you've read these things, you need to come up with your idea about what your argument is going to be. Because I've already asked you the question, as I've said, for the essay. And then you're going to have to begin to think of what your argument is. You're going to create a thesis statement. What is a thesis? It is a absolutely clear and definitive statement of argument. And then you're going to make this thesis statement. And this can be 1, 2, maybe even 3 sentences, but it needs to be absolutely clear about what you are going to argue. And once you have made this declaration, right, so you may want to, you're going to create an introductory paragraph, and your thesis statement would be right at the very beginning of that or at the very end. It's whatever you know, that's a stylistic question, and I'm not here to give you style, but just simply I want you to make an argument, and it needs to be absolutely clear what you are going to argue about. And it would be useful in your introductory paragraph if you discuss, or at least open, what evidence you will be discussing within your argument, and then you say, this is my argument. And I know in most English classes that they say you should not say, this essay argues. Well, in this assignment, I literally want you to say, this essay argues. And this will help not only you formulate your thesis statement, but me pick out your thesis statement. So, and if anyone gives you trouble about this, just say Bernard Bailyn, the great Pulitzer Prize winning author, as well as the Bancroft Award winning author, who are the 2 most prestigious awards that you can win in history, on his book on the American Revolution, won both of these awards, and his thesis statement, he literally says, this book argues. So there you go, from Bernard Bailyn himself. So I have given you kind of an ideal thesis statement here. Your goal, of course, is to persuade others that you are right by using evidence. So my thesis statement is with the sort of general idea that thousands of books are founded upon that Hitler is a bad man. That's not a good thesis statement. That's just a description of fact based upon someone's analysis of a situation. So this would be a more accurate and good thesis statement in order to get an A on this essay. So I'm going to begin by summarizing the evidence that I am going to use for this essay. So I'm saying, based on overwhelming Allied reports from the 7th Army, testimonies from the Nuremberg trials, and later writings of Nazi officers, Nazi Germany was entirely the creation of Adolf Hitler and not the German intelligentsia. So in that statement, I have told you what evidence I am going to use for this essay, and as well as led into what my argument is going to be about here. I'm giving you a foreshadowing here, that Nazi Germany, it was entirely Hitler's idea, and it was because of him it existed. Then I'm going to say, therefore this essay argues that most of Germany was swept up in the wake of Hitler's charisma and great efforts of a few devoted followers, and not largely to blame for the destruction of World War II. So therefore I am saying, I am blaming Adolf Hitler and his inner circle for creating this terrible event that became World War II, and saying that the vast majority of the German people are not to blame for this. So I have started off with the premise of Hitler is a bad man, but I have articulated very carefully why he was a bad man. within this thesis statement. So I would like to see your thesis statements kind of mirror this formula, that you introduce what you're going to be talking about, you're going to give some foreshadowing of the evidence that you will use, and then declare specifically what you are going to argue. And then after this introductory paragraph, you will then have a body, right? You will have the largest portion of your essay, which is where you will be articulating your argument. You will be marshaling your evidence, proving your thesis statement, and everything in this body needs to, in the body of your essay, needs to be proving why your thesis statement is right. If you think that some part of the argument is on a tangent and not helping support why your thesis statement is right or accurate or true, then you need to take it out because it doesn't belong in the essay. Everything in this essay is designed to persuade me that your argument is right, that your thesis statement is accurate. And then you will finish with a concluding paragraph that you will just simply say that this was my argument, and you sum everything up in a tight conclusion that kind of restates your case and why your argument is right. So this is a formal essay structure, and this is kind of what I would like to see from your thesis statement, what I expect out of the essay. It's designed to teach you how to use primary sources. That is the ultimate goal of this essay, and to make a critical argument, a critical historical argument, which you can then take and employ in any field that you choose to go into. Because learning how to argue persuasively is very important in your life, and it will be increasingly in your careers. So, again, just be realistic about this. I don't really mind that much if you go over the page limit for your essay, but nevertheless, you've got to be realistic about what you can argue here, which is why I've given you a question. But you have to keep this at a reasonable amount of size that you can prove your argument in a succinct 4 to 6 pages or something of this nature, right? You can go over this, that's fine. I don't mind that much. But be sure and cite your sources. Be sure and use footnotes, use quotations. The whole purpose of this is to show that you have made a good argument and that you have supported it with evidence. That's all this essay is asking, and if you do those things, you should, and if you do them well, then you should fully expect to receive an A on this assignment.